5 continents, 13 countries, upwards of 40 matches. This video was about my year of football, Because Football's journey in 2024. Hey everybody, welcome. It's Andrew with Because Football. This has been a very special experience, not only learning so much about the world, but about football and culture in so many amazing places. It's been a blessing. I'm super grateful to have had this opportunity. And for all of you who have watched my videos, commented, and taught me so much, and to all the friends I've met along the way, really happy you're here. I'm so bad. I always go like too much over the deep end, detail and context and information. I'm gonna do my best to keep this really succinct. Here we go. 2024 in the world of Because Football. Vamos. First off of the year was AFCON, the African Cup of Nations in the Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. To be a part of this incredible festival of football, saw players like Mo Salah and, Egypt played, saw them play against Cape Verde, Ghana, Mozambique. I was also fortunate that connected into this world of youth football, like really top. There was 5 or 6 of the top academies within the Ivory Coast who all came together for the showcase tournament. So that was pretty amazing to see those top players and really to be exposed to the realities of players trying to make the jump from Africa to Europe to be that next Yaya Toure, Didier Drogba. I even got to visit the Ivorian FA office and kind of got this random impromptu interview with the technical director. I got to meet another friend, Alex, and his academy. I got to run a little bit of a session, which is really cool, and then observe Alex. So just really appreciate his hospitality and everybody. So Senegal played Cameroon, so I got to see Sadio Mane. The fans were incredible for those games. Each country had an official troupe, of dozens of people dancing, singing, expressing this love for football. Is amazing. We were right near there. That week after I came back from the Ivory Coast, I gave my 2 weeks notice for my day job to do this big trip, this big adventure that my wife and I have been planning. Then we were down visiting family in Florida. The next football adventure of the year was seeing my hometown club, Philadelphia Union of the MLS. The match was closed door friendlies, only open to family and club administrators. Last day of February, my wife and I flew to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Incredible. So many matches, so many amazing people. Nacho from Racing, he invited me to some high-level academy matches with Emmy, who's a youth coach at River Plate. Saw his boys play, saw him with a local neighborhood team. Got to run training session with them, observe their sessions, see matches like youth game. Then I'm going to the first division, the Primera matches as well. So getting to see these amazing, really cathedrals of football like La Bombonera of Boca Juniors, El Monumental of River Plate, and then so many others amazing ones like Nuevo Gasómetro of San Lorenzo, El Cilindro, Racing Club, Estadio Libertadores de America of Independiente. I went to some second division matches for all these amazing stories within Argentine football and culture, some of which I've already put up, some of which I'm working on, but definitely check out some of those on the channel. The way that Argentine people responded to me and welcomed me, a good example is Fede at Huracan. He invited me to the club's training complex. He gave me a ticket to the match. Huracan is one of the coolest stadiums you'll ever see, welcoming me within kind of the industry of Argentine football, but also just average fans who I'd meet in La Cancha, at the stadium, at the Previa, before matches. Just amazing. And I have so much to share on Argentine football. It's such a special place in my heart, and it was an amazing experience. One of the things I really loved about Argentina was not only the more official experiences I had in Buenos Aires, the capital, or in Cordoba at the Super Clasico, but it was visiting the northern provinces of the country and seeing the football culture and passion there. We're talking about fields that don't have a single blade of grass. It's stone, it's dust, high altitude, wind, it's cold, really grassroots football, the Saturday League football was incredible. Even going to the great salt flats of Argentina, we found a pitch there. All these little pitches on the sides of roads with just wooden frame goalposts everywhere. Just incredible. I've never seen a country with so many football pitches as Argentina. And then after Argentina, we got to go to Uruguay. I did not appreciate the place that Uruguay has in world football history. I knew about the World Cup, the original World Cup, 1930, that Uruguay has won a World Cup before. Obviously, the more modern guys like Cavani and Forlan and Luis Suarez and those guys, obviously incredible. But really, that history was amazing. After Uruguay, then we moved on to Colombia. So just amazing place. I did get to go to 2 matches of Deportivo Pereira in Colombia in the stadium. Great food options. Juan Camilo, who was an Airbnb host actually, and he even took me to a match. He's a season ticket holder, a socio, a member, goes to every match in the Popular, right, which is more of like the rowdier, the fans that sing and stand the whole match. It was so cool to watch them hanging up all the banners before the match, like all the ingenious ways that they do it with like taking a shoe off, tying a piece of rope, throwing it up 25 feet over your head, it comes down, it knocks somebody else out, or it flares, the smoke. But really cool in Medellin, I got to go to this like street ball league they call micro football. So I got to visit the Torneo del Barrio in Medellin. There's a few leagues like this, but they are like really high level quality. You hear a lot of things about Colombia, like with safety and stuff. So I was like kind of wary at first, but once I was within that football world, everybody was super cool. Met a lot of really interesting people, saw a lot of great football, great moments. They stream online, on Twitch. They get like 40,000 viewers for these games. Interesting experience when I was in Medellin. I got a kit of Atlético Nacional, which is a big club in Medellin, and it was the club of Pablo Escobar back in the day. I really like the look of it. It's got a collar. It's got this like old school, like the green color. I'm a big green guy. Obviously, you see the Because Football kit. Shout out to Icarus. It was incredible. Like, the one day I wore that in Medellin, at least 6 or 7 random people, whether it was passersby, people in cars going by honking and like cheering. I never had such rave reviews of my fashion, and I think the reason why, and hopefully there's some Colombianos reading this and know, but that specific jersey, that version, was from the early 90s when Escobar was really involved and supported the club financially, and they were in a super successful period. So that was Colombia, and from Cartagena, I flew to Germany. This is huge. This was my 2nd continental competition of the year after the AFCON. I've been to Germany quite a few times. I studied abroad there. I have like family there, distant cousins. I studied German, and it was awesome to be able to celebrate football there. Most of the European countries had like a sizable population in Germany, at least somewhere. So you kind of really have this feeling of all the teams being represented and having fans and that passion for everybody. It was awesome. I spent a lot of time in Dusseldorf at their like open air zone and in the Altstadt in the Old Town. I was able to go to the England-Serbia match, which was amazing. I got to meet these English lads on the way. They kind of brought me into their crew. For me, like the Euros were so important because the first international tournament that I really obsessed over and really watched was Euro 2004. So I was 13. Amazing time. Seeing the field, I got like, it was very, very emotional to kind of have that like boyhood dream, right? 20 years in the making of having this dream of seeing the Euros and not only the matches, but like feeling the the cultural aspect, right? As an American from afar, outside looking in, like that was something I always wanted, was being in the town square, you know, with all the fans singing and enjoying themselves. And I definitely got a lot of that too in Cologne with some of the Scotland fans. Also saw Slovakia, Ukraine, which was a really underrated match. 2 great fan groups, really lovely atmosphere and vibe about the place. So that was great. But probably like coolest part of my time, Turkey had a match, just a group stage match. The best part was the afterwards. They ended up winning. And again, it was just a group stage match, but it turned into this impromptu parade in the pissing down rain. You can see some of this footage here where people just like constantly were driving around in circles in this little area with the Turkish flags, playing the music. A good hour and a half, singing, dancing, having a great time until the police came and broke it up. But yeah, the Euros. And then time to go home. After the Euros, it was time to go to Copa America, Argentina against Chile, right outside of New York. It was amazing to see the Argentine football culture just transplanted into my country, into the U.S., and to see the asado, the barbecue, the singing, the flags everywhere, the banners. Game wasn't great, to be fair, but we saw a late Argentina goal. Got to see the GOAT Messi play. What more can you ask for as part of that Argentina side? It's such a special thing in football that you all better be appreciating now. Appreciate this Argentina side right now. It's the spirit of the side that comes from the spirit of the country, and what's been a difficult time in the past few years for them economically and politically has given so much hope to people and a reason to celebrate. Met a great crew, La Máquina, who's like a internet sensation. He's the talisman of Argentina, goes to all the matches. The guys like Ariel and these guys just like met up with on the day, taking a taxi together, did the whole previa and pre-match together. Amazing. My brother-in-law Chris was able to come through. Got to share that experience with him, which is so cool. As I mentioned, I'm a coach as well, so we had some camps, some tournaments we were running, and it gave me an opportunity to see my hometown team again, the Philadelphia Union, in Leagues Cup action, Liga MX of Mexico, and the MLS. They kind of make this hybrid competition. This is where Scott Cooper comes in and the LSA connection. Club LSA, they're the sponsor of this really nice hospitality area. I was able to take my dad to that and sit right by the field, which was incredible. I've never been that close to the pitch before, so thanks again to Scott. And then saw the Union play Cruz Azul, which was really awesome. Not the first time I've seen a Mexican club play the Union, but it always gives extra something special to the atmosphere of bringing those cultures together. So that was a really great time. Got to go to that game with my mom, so we're getting the family time with the football, and got to go to the Icarus Cup, which was an amazing day. Icarus, the kit designers, they host like a 7-a-side amateur tournament every year in Philadelphia and in Austin. Just being around the football culture in the U.S. was really cool, bringing all of the football world together. Saw a lot of good footy too, and just met a lot of great people to connect with. So that's a cool video that I think you'll enjoy, especially if you're not from the U.S. If you want to see what like some kind of grassroots football culture looks like in the U.S., check out that video about Icarus Cup. It's time to get on the road again, and it was across the pond over to Europe. First stop was Tirana, Albania. It sounded like a really fascinating place, hidden gem of Europe. First of all, it was amazing that the Albanian national team was in the Euros. They had some huge moments, like I was there in the fan zone when they scored early against Italy, and Albanians who were at the match who told me about it, and he said it just absolutely exploded. One guy told me it was one of the greatest moments of his life, like children's births included. Like it was that level of importance. So Albania was awesome, and the football was definitely random kind of type of experiences, but amazing. First real football experience was meeting Jurgen Demneri. He is in the amateur department of the Albanian FA, so I visited him in Tirana. He gave me a tour of their facilities. They have like brand new turf pitches, grass pitch as well for training for the national team and youth national teams. Super random, but they love 8-a-side football, and they have a super successful Sunday league that the FA runs. These amateur 8-a-side Sunday league games get more fans than a lot of the Categoria Superiore, the first division of Albania. Then in the beachside town of Vlora, we quickly saw the stadium of Flamurtari. They beat Barcelona in the European Cup back in the 80s. I'd never heard about them. Now they're in the second division in Albania. I stayed in Vlora for a few days. Beautiful place. One of the coolest pitches I've ever seen, right by the sea. Good condition turf pitch. And the key thing, public pitch. You do not need to pay. Every pitch I saw in Tirana, in the capital, had a lock on it, had a chain. But in Vlora, they had this amazing, it's not a huge pitch, like you can play 5-a-side. And I went there a few times, love of football and just playing together. Amazing football at sunset, right by the Mediterranean, just unbelievable. That was super cool. And then another really random but awesome experience. I was able to attend the opening match of the Albanian season as like a quasi press officer. So it wasn't official, but I got full access to the pitch before the game. Really cool. After Albania, Bosnia, we stayed in Sarajevo for 2 weeks. Another really cool football experience there. Not only going to local domestic matches of FK Sarajevo and of Željeznica, or known as Željo, two of the biggest clubs, definitely the two big rivals within Sarajevo, and two of like the 4 or 5 biggest within the country with the most history. Really strong in their heyday in the 80s in the old Yugoslavia. They had won some of those cups and titles back in the day. Saw some really awesome ultras and tifos, and they got the flares and the smoke bombs. So not only got to go to the top flight matches within Bosnia, there was a women's Champions League qualifiers there too. So I got to see Benfica women, who are one of the best in Europe, FC Nordsjælland of Denmark. Nobody was really at this game. It was just club staff and families. There was a team from the Faroe Islands. I think it was Keflavik, was it? Sorry guys if I got your name wrong. And they were playing against the home team FK Sarajevo, who was hosting. So that was cool. And I even went to an under 21 European Championship qualifier match between Bosnia and Austria as well. So what an amazing city, like the culture, the history, I had no idea. It's really kind of where like East meets West within Europe, and got to try the Bosnian coffee, cevapi, it was incredible. So we had a great time in Bosnia. And then after that, I hopped over to Portugal. That was some proper football. I'm talking Benfica, 60,000 people, the light show, all the fans before the matches milling around, having their, what's the name of the sandwich? The sandwich is Sagres beer beforehand. I knew Benfica was a big club. I didn't realize how big. And obviously the reception of the video I put up. Appreciate all the fans of Os Águias, the great Benfica club. And obviously, of course, all the Sporting and Porto fans who said Benfica's not the best stadium. I will go there in the future, guys. I hope to go back to Portugal and experience that. Then I took the train up to Braga for the Derby do Minho between Sporting Braga and Vitória Club of Guimarães. I was told that this is like one of the more underrated derbies within Portugal and maybe in Europe. It definitely got intense, but I was really excited to be at the stadium, like the stadium of Braga, because going back to the Euro 2004, and that stadium for Braga was one that really stood out because at one end it's just like a rock face, like they carved the stadium out of the mountain. It was one of the most incredible sunsets like I've seen. Then we went back down to Lisbon and eventually found ourselves in the Algarve in Olhão for a few days. This video is up about Olhanense, currently in the 5th division of Portuguese football, but they claim to be the only club in the country who's won a title at every single division. Just randomly, I ended up getting connected with the club. They invited me in to see the town, to see the club itself, to a training session, to get access and tell the story of the club. So definitely go check that out. I think it's one of the most interesting stories during this year. A little more depth to it than just some of the stadium vlogs. So that was Portuguese football. Then over to Spain, to Seville. First was a Real Betis match. Really enjoyed that. I love in Spain, like you can just buy snacks from outside the stadium and you just bring them in. Like I was eating candy that I had gotten outside at halftime. Really cool that is part of the culture there. Betis was great. Met some amazing people. The Beer Brothers of Betis, like a little peña. A peña is a fan group. Of course, in Seville, you have Real Betis and Sevilla FC, two big clubs in Seville, and they each have these peñas, which are physical buildings, like little bar cafes of that neighborhood, of that area. So learning about that, getting to go into some of them and talk to some of the people there, that was a pretty awesome part of the football culture of Spain that I really enjoyed. I went to Tomares, which I think is the 5th division. Had fun there at that match. Then to the Gran Derby of Seville, Betis, Sevilla, at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan Stadium with Paul from Groundhopper Guides. Paul set this all up. He took care of all the tough parts, all the heavy lifting. Decent match. The tifo before from the Seville fans, incredible. The level of detail, the aesthetic of it, was reading about it afterwards, has to do with these guardians of the city and this mythology of the city and everything. Just incredible. The singing, obviously the celebrations when they scored, being able to see Jesus Navas in his final Seville derby at home, really special to see him in that moment, so that was really cool. Also get to see Industrial de Atarfe play, and I think they're also like the 5th, 6th division of Spanish football. That was near Granada, maybe 100 or so people in the stands. There were signs everywhere. It was no smoking and no sunflower seeds, pipas, which are really popular in Spain as a football snack. Of course, all over, people smoking and having their pipas. Yeah, and then from Spain, we were coming home to England. First stop in Liverpool, Anfield Stadium, European nights, Liverpool versus Bayer Leverkusen. Amazing to visit Anfield. You can find that video on the channel. I did have to cut out You'll Never Walk Alone for copyright reasons, unfortunately. Really cool. People were super welcoming to me as well. Really just love, in general, I love Liverpool and the people. Great match at Anfield. The next day did the Everton Goodison Park tour. Really sad I won't be able to see a match at Goodison Park because it's the final season that they're playing there before they move to their new modern stadium. But Goodison has so many firsts. First club to have numbers on the jerseys, first club to use goal nets, things like that. Like footballing history you don't think of, you take as it's always been this way. It hasn't. And a lot of the firsts were Goodison Park and Everton. And especially just the story of how Everton and Liverpool started in Stanley Park in Liverpool. It's incredible. The proximity of the two stadiums to each other, very similar to like Racing and Independiente in Avellaneda in Buenos Aires. Super close. super strong rivalry. Then, quick little pop over to Dublin for UEFA Conference League nights. Shamrock Rovers against TNS, or the New Saints of Wales. Thanks to my buddy James Doolin, who was also on the podcast. He is an analyst for TNS and was able to get my wife and I tickets. A lot of the younger kids, younger Irish lads, they wanted to be interviewed. It was really good crack and just had a great time asking about Irish football, and it's definitely something in a culture that I want to investigate more on the football side. Only a night in Ireland, not enough. Definitely want to go back. Didn't have near enough Guinnesses, that's for sure. Back to England, to Stoke-on-Trent, land of my ancestors, land of Port Vale Football Club. There's going to be a longer explanation in the Port Vale video, so you should go find that, but probably the greatest dream of the last 10 years of my footballing life is away day at the Vale. And it happened at Gillingham. One of the longest trips of the year, 4 hours on the coach, 4 hours on the bus. I was able to connect with the lads from the Ale in the Vale podcast, who I've been listening to religiously for like 3 years. I first went to a Port Vale match in 2013, I think it was. So this is like 11 years later, finally getting to my next one, and was able to connect with Johnny, with Bez, with Tom. They sorted it out, got me hooked up with the away coach, showed up 6 in the morning at the pub. Pints are already going down all around me. So when in Rome, had to be like the Romans, had to join them, but great time on the coach there. Awful match, the Vale loss, didn't matter. Still had an amazing time no matter what. Everybody was so welcoming. Got to link up with Christian Obrey as well through the turnstiles. I'd had him on the podcast. He's a Gillingham supporter. We ended up meeting there. Another one of these amazing friendships going from the digital world to the real world, all because football. That was the Saturday. I needed a few days to recover after the Vale away day on the coach. And then it was time for the proper Vale match, although it was the EFL Trophy. They were coming up against a significant team that you might have heard of, and especially when we talk about me, an American, and football, is Wrexham Football Club. Club was kind enough to invite me for a tour, so Dan and Ryan invited me and gave me a tour of Vale Park, of the dressing rooms. We were pitch side before the match, all parts of the stadium, meet some of the players too. Still can't really believe that happened, but I don't have the words to like fully express all of my feelings about it, other than saying it was a dream come true. It was beyond kind, beyond generous. I'm extremely thankful, and got to see the Vale come away with a win in PKs in a penalty shootout. Because it was a trophy, not a lot of fans. So as you can see in this clip, like you don't really see any fans on the one side. For stewarding, for police purposes, they kind of kept everybody on one side of the stadium. At the end of the day, I was just happy to be at Vale Park on the invitation from the club. Emotional day. It was great to be back in Stoke-on-Trent, go through places like Burslem and Tunstall, where 100 odd years ago, my family were the ones walking around and working in the potteries there. And so a big moment for sure. Definitely one of the highlights of the year. From the UK, that blur of a week from England to Bangkok, Thailand. Now here I am. You see the beach clips and everything. We got Port FC of the Thai League One. It was actually the Thai FA Cup against BG Pathum United or Bangkok Glass. So two teams that are normally in the top 4 or 5 within Thai football. I love this stadium. Pretty central in the city of Bangkok, so it's easier to reach than most of the other cities. There's a strong foreign or foreigner support, so there's a lot of English media around the club. Been interested in and engaged with a lot. Great to be back. And probably the best part about the stadium down at the Pat Stadium in Klong Tui in Bangkok, it's the food market they have. You can go before, at halftime, you can leave the stadium, go get food, get a beer. I think you can even bring your beer back into the stadium, which is pretty incredible too. The football is fun. I'm not going to sit here and say it's obviously at the level of some of the games I've seen this year, but it's fun, and there's a really good fan atmosphere. I think I counted 3 different fan groups with their own drums and songs. Also saw Thailand and Cambodia in the Mitsubishi Cup as well. So the AFF Mitsubishi is like technically just for Southeast Asian football, but you could say it was the 4th continental competition after African Cup of Nations, European Championships, Copa America, and 4th continental competition of the year. Awesome to see the Thai national team play again. What I think is the last match of the year, who knows? BROM United, the powerhouse of Thai football, a massive symbol not only of that whole region of Isan, the northeast of Thailand that's the most populated, and they've been consistently punching well above their weight. Definitely the most modern European-like stadium in Thailand. That was an amazing match too. Again, I just love the whole experience when we talk about football, is the whole match day experience. Food involved, the people are just happy and very welcoming, really curious to see me walking around with my camera and what I'm doing. But it was great to see BROM finally play. It's been quite a year I don't know if it'll ever fully sink in. I know I'm just very thankful for this time and these experiences. I hope you enjoyed this. Please, this is just like a taster. I hope I didn't bore you and nerd out, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. Please check out the channel, some of the other videos. We've got playlists for Argentina, for Portugal, for Spain, for the UK. If you don't see it, it's coming out soon, so please subscribe, give a like, just comment. If you'd like to see me visit another place or somewhere I should really check out, please go ahead and comment that. Maybe something you learned or was a little bit different that you didn't expect about football in some part of the world. If you could leave a comment below. 2024 was amazing. Who knows what we have in store for 2025. 2026 is the World Cup in the US. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next video. Peace.